Very good evening from the KTN News Center, and many thanks for joining us on the program. Now tonight we have a lot for you on the program. First of all, what next for the United Democratic Front? We have the latest on UDF's stormy special National Delegates Conference. I'm Ben Kitili, and this is KTN Prime.
Indeed, Ben, many thanks for joining us tonight. We will be looking at hooliganism in football. Has it gotten out of hand? What needs to be done about it? Plus, you need to watch out for this very interesting story by Ian Wafula. Border borders could actually be classified as a threat to national security. Find out why, how soon, what reasons are they giving. You're on KTN Prime. Thank you for joining us. I'm Linda Oguto. Our sign language interpreter at the bottom end of your screen is Marisha Owiti. Let's take a look at the top stories tonight.
The return of football hooliganism. Just who dropped the ball?
Ghosts from the past. Policeman charged afresh over Kisumu shooting.
Moving to safer grounds. Baringo residents fleeing the mayhem.
The party resolved to expel the following members from the party. 1, Hassan Osman. 2, Mother Wangari. 3, Boni Khalwale.
Cracking the whip. Khalwale fired from UDF. Will he lose his seat? Many thanks for joining us. Now, tonight we begin in Machakos town, where for the better part of the day today, residents have been trying to fix the massive damage that was caused by football hooligans last night. Rowdy Gor Mahia fans descended on property around the town and destroyed it after they lost a crucial match against Sofapaka. The Machakos County government now wants Gor Mahia to pay some 10 million shillings in damages. KTN Sports anchor Lynn Washera is working on that story, and in that story she will be looking at what this now means for football in the country. Also later on in this bulletin we will be speaking to Robert Asembo. He is the FKF vice chair, just to get to understand who should be held responsible for such acts of hooliganism in football. If you recall, this is not the first case we are seeing. This has been something that has been going on over the years. In 2010, actually, 5 people lost their lives. 5 people lost their lives at the Nyayo National Stadium, and this raised a lot of concern, with hope that maybe this could come under control.
Of course it is, yeah, as you say, it's not the first time. It has been a problem that has been ongoing, especially for the 2 biggest clubs in Kenya, that is FC Leopards and Gor Mahia, and a lot of reaction has been coming through, especially through social media, and we have that for you on the program.
Indeed, so looking at those pictures, let's now focus on that particular story. KTN Sports anchor Lynn Washira has been following this development, not just the one that happened in Machakos over the weekend, but so many more that she has covered. She now joins us from our sports studio. Lynn, this is a very disturbing turn of events.
Yes, for sure. And it has been, we can say the past 3 weeks have been really long for the Kenya Premier League, because what should not exactly be witnessed in this beautiful game of football has been witnessed in the past few weeks. And Kenya Premier League as a team has had a very difficult time trying to solve issues right, left and center. And now yesterday, the happenings at the Machakos Stadium, where Gor Mahia was playing Sofapaka, it was quite unfortunate, but I filed a story for you earlier in the day. Let's have a look at it. Across the town of Machakos, businesses are picking up the pieces. This is the aftermath not of a political rally gone bad, but that of a beautiful game that suddenly turned ugly.
And throws it into the outlets in the net.
The ill-tempered match between league leaders Gor Mahia and title chasers of Sofapaka was played at a jam-packed Machakos Stadium. The potentially decisive game had all the makings of a thriller until missiles started flying onto the pitch, causing a 5-minute stoppage that forced police to fire tear gas canisters to contain the unruly fans. The match resumed with some Gor Mahia fans walking out, probably after it became obvious that there was almost no chance of snatching a win at Machakos. The final result, 3-2 in favor of Sofapaka, and Gor Mahia fans went on the rampage. It took the county police officers hours to restore calm. With many residents now counting their losses from Sunday's happenings, it's apparent that there is no turning back the hand of time. And the county government of Machakos is outraged.
Leta hasara mingi sana. Sababu watu walipesa kuumia, gari za watu zikachoma, wengine wako hospitali, na hata polisi ilibidi watumie risasi.
Hata gari wakachoma, wakavunja maduka, mbegi hapa. Sasa naona hao watu wafai kurudishwa kuja hapa tena.
Governor Alfred Mutua, who toured the damaged stadium, read out his verdict to the Gor Mahia club.
And to ensure that no one is injured or killed after a Gor Mahia or any other football match in Machakos, the county government of Machakos has banned Gor Mahia football team from playing in Machakos County Stadium until further notice. We can negotiate with them. If they want to come and play in Machakos, they'll have to put a bond of between 10 and 20 million cash.
This is not the first time Gor Mahia is receiving a stadium ban as well as a hefty fine for crowd trouble and distraction. But can Dr. Alfred Mutua as a governor ban or fine a club? According to an official at the Kenya Premier League, Machakos County can only take legal actions against a Kenya Premier League club. Following the Gor Mahia incident in Machakos, Football Kenya Limited has summoned the Kenya Premier League Chief Executive Officer Jack Oguda to a national executive meeting Tuesday morning to discuss the act of hooliganism as well as the abandoned match between Muhoroni Youth and Tusker FC, who controversially fielded 12 players. The return of hooliganism has once again put FKF and the Kenya Premier League on the spot. In a statement, FKF sent a stern warning to clubs as well as football fans, saying that hooliganism would not be tolerated in football. FKF now wants the Inspector General of Police to constitute a special police force to deal with the growing menace.
Machakos Governor, they are not very amused. Lynn, there is a meeting tomorrow, I understand tomorrow in the morning, to address this. What are we likely to see being discussed in this meeting? Can you get long-term solutions?
I hope so, actually. I wish I was the right person to answer that, but I hope so. I hope we can get long-term solutions. And tomorrow's meeting will not only focus on this specific match, that incident that happened yesterday, because in this meeting tomorrow, a few people have been summoned. We have Jack Oguda, the CEO, that is the Kenya Premier League CEO, and some of the issues that we'll discuss in this meeting, of course, it's in regards to this match yesterday at Machakos, and also matters of the abandoned Tusker FC versus Muhoroni Youth FC. And just last week, you will remember that KPL had to actually deal with another case where AFC Leopards fans actually attacked match officials, and that game had to be stopped at halftime. That's just one of the incidents that KPL has had to face in the last few weeks. Back to you, Linda.
Indeed, so we hope we can get some solutions tomorrow. Lynn Wachira, thank you so much. She has been following that story for us. Let's see what that meeting comes up with tomorrow.
So Kenyan football has been on an upward trajectory for the last 10 years or so, but the national managing body of football, be it FKF or KFF, have seemingly struggled to contain football hooliganism, especially in incidents concerning two of Kenya's oldest and biggest clubs in Kenya, that is FC Leopards and Gor Mahia. And on the big question tonight, we are asking you, what should be done to restore sanity in Kenyan football?
Indeed, let us know what you think. You can tweet us at KTN Kenya, at Linda Ogutu, at Ben_Kitili. And of course, we'd love to sample some of your views during this bulletin. In relation to that particular story that Lynn Wachira has just done, let's see if you can answer some of the questions that you may have on hooliganism in the country. In studio, I have Robert Asembo. He is the FKF Vice Chair. Thank you so much for joining us on KTN Prime. So who dropped the ball? How did we get to where we are right now? Because we had a similar circumstance in 2010. We lost 5 lives.
Yeah, really, we express our sympathy to those who have suffered loss and the great inconvenience of the skirmishes. We don't condone at all any act of hooliganism. Football is a game of respect. You respect the result, you respect your opponent, and you live to fight another day.
All right, this is the thing, Mr. Simbo. You don't condone, but this happened in 2010. This has happened in 2011, 2012, 2013. We're in 2014. What is FKF doing?
I think to put in perspective, Linda, we set policies as FKF, but let's look at the incidents. I will say that they are usually sporadic. In a season which begins in January up to November, today we are headed to November, you will find that there are 3 or 4 incidents, yet you've played all season from January to November. So we treat them as sporadic issues, and that's why we need to fine-tune our policies to take care of such eventualities. And sometimes we've had various levels of partnerships trying to come in to help us in the scenario. For example, the Kenya Police. But when you hear the Federation say that the Inspector General need to come up with a special force, I think the security we usually have in place doesn't live to the billing. And the real issue is about preventing, not battling out people during such...
I'll bring you back to the issue of whether or not the government needs to get involved, but then looking at what happened in Machakos, and now the governor has imposed a 10 million fine on Gor Mahia. Who should be held responsible when such acts are done by funds?
Well, the responsibility with the individual fan, because you don't go out on a football outing with the sole purpose of being chaotic, despite the outcome. You are supposed to respect the outcome. If the other team has outplayed your team, you respect the outcome. It can be a win, can be a loss, can be a draw. However, the issue of the governor, His Excellency the Governor, announcing sanctions, I think it was a bit too stretched. He's banned Gor Mahia
from playing in that stadium and has imposed a 10 million fine. Can he do that?
I'm sorry to say it's out of order. He ought to have channeled his issues with the football authorities. He should have channeled his issue with the Kenya Premier League, the managers of the league. He should have channeled his issues with the federation, because we know how to deal with some of these clubs. It's not about a blanket condemnation or coming up with a figure. I mean, football has various number of sanctions and ways of dealing with such menace. The only challenge is that these things are sporadic, Linda. I must emphasize that they are usually sporadic.
But even if they are sporadic, there has to be measures in place. We need to curb this, because property is being destroyed, lives are being lost year in, year out. We need to curb this.
You know why I'm saying that it goes beyond just policy. Sometimes there are also criminals who come up, because when you are destroying property, it is actually malicious damage to property. It's a criminal offense in our law. When you are breaking into a motor vehicle, when you are committing an act of arson, I think those are pure criminal acts. And sometimes in a public gathering like a stadium, you may never know who has gone there as a genuine fan or who has gone there as a criminal with a criminal in mind. So I think that's where we need to have some specialized approaches beyond just the usual one of having 100 policemen and some stewards and waiting for what FKF and KPL will do.
And indeed, that is where the concern is, because some of these fans who do some of these things are actually caught on camera. Has there ever been a scenario where some of them have been prosecuted, just to serve as an example to others?
That is now the saddest bit. We're supposed to arrest and prosecute, and I've told you those are criminal acts. These are criminals who are taking advantage of a football match. A genuine fan will never go to those extremes. A genuine fan knows that in a season, his club will have 30 games, 15 home and 15 away.
Okay.
And he has to support them throughout, in bad and in good times.
All right, just as we end this discussion, I'm hoping, my director, we can run that bite by Sport CS, where that was last year, in November last year, yes, after Gor had similar incidences.
Government is treated as one big thing everybody can throw any rubbish to. We are not going to take rubbish from anybody. We take our roles seriously, and everybody must take his role seriously. It's easy to blame government for hooliganism. Did we throw any stones at anybody? In fact, our chairs were stolen by Gor Mahia supporters.
Is it time the government and the security agencies got involved in this?
The government can never run away from each citizen's responsibility or risk. This is a government of the people and for the people. So if you treat them as Gor Mahia supporters, I think that is simplistic. What we are saying is that we have had several initiatives which have not yet borne fruition. For example, in the last season, FKF and KPL had decided that we are going to have a judicial inquiry, whereby we'll have a judge of the High Court sit and have various stakeholders come. If it is the police, they come, they tell us what are their challenges. If it is the clubs themselves, also they share their challenges. So from that inquiry, we'll have specific action plans, specific strategies that will have gone a long way into improving the issues of this sporadic.
So basically you need a holistic approach.
We need a holistic approach because there are various stakeholders. There are the traders, there are the matatu people. Oftentimes you see the Tomboya statue, for example, being...
I remember that. Okay.
Yeah.
Because of time,
it's wide and broad.
Robert Asembo, FKF Vice Chair, thank you so much for speaking to us on hooliganism.
But I just want to finish up by saying that we shall surely take action as FKF.
We hope so.
Following our meeting tomorrow, there will be some definite action.
All right. Robert Asembo, FKF Vice Chair, thank you so much for speaking to us. He has been speaking to us about hooliganism, what needs to be done, how far has this gotten. There's a meeting tomorrow. We'll keep an eye on that and see just how far this will go. If at all, we'll have solutions from that particular meeting. Ben Kitili.
Indeed, important conversation that have to take place if indeed Kenyan football stakeholders are to take the beautiful game back to the glory days. Now, apart from that, Edward Kirui, a police constable, was charged and later acquitted for the murder of 2 protesters during the post-election violence, will now face judges again. The Court of Appeal has ordered the fresh charges be preferred against Kirui for the murder of Ismail Chacha. The Court of Appeal also ruled that the trial judge, Justice Efe Ochieng, made a mistake in his ruling and wants Kirui charged afresh before any judge other than the judge who acquitted him. KTN's Rita Tinina reports.
The shooting of 2 protesters in Kondele Market on the 16th of January 2008 was among the most shocking images of the 2007-2008 post-election violence. Police Constable Edward Kirui was later charged with 2 counts of murder over the deaths of protesters George William Onyango and Ismail Chacha. The case was initially heard by Justice Omutungi before he retired and handed over the matter to Justice Efe Ochieng. Despite video evidence that placed Kirui at the scene of the shooting, Justice Ochieng acquitted him.
And he was acquitted on account of lack of sufficient evidence. Specifically, there was a question around the serial number of the murder weapon. So one then has to ask, does the prosecution now have new evidence?
The Director of Public Prosecutions appealed against the acquittal order. The appeal was heard on the 29th of April last year. 18 months later, 3 Court of Appeal judges made their ruling. In their 25-page judgment, Justice Mwera, Mwilu and Gatembu Cairo say the trial judge left several issues unresolved in the case of the murder of Ismail Chacha.
Once you have been accused of a crime, charged for it, taken to court, taken through due process, and you have either been acquitted or convicted, the prosecution cannot bring the same charges for the same offense at the same time in future. So then the issue that we're looking at here is, do we have a possible case of double jeopardy?
The judges posed several questions. Was Ismail Chacha shot by the accused person with the same bullet as that killed George William Onyango in count 1, or a different one? Or was he shot by another person? Judges say there was a mistrial, and it would be an absolute travesty of justice and fair trial were such a monumental error of law be left uncorrected. Kirui was arraigned in court Monday morning, where fresh charges relating to the shooting incident were read out to him. He has been remanded in custody until November the 3rd, when the case will be mentioned after police sought more time to finalize their investigations. But does the latest move give any hope to thousands of victims of the post-election violence seeking justice?
it needs to be, accompanied by good faith. It needs to be accompanied by professionalism. It needs to be accompanied by the real need and desire to actually prosecute those cases to their logical conclusion.
The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions is on record saying the office does not have evidence in over 4,000 post-election violence case files, and how the courts handle the Kirui case this time may be a pointer to the government's commitment to deliver justice. Rita Tinina, KTN.
Let's look at politics now. The United Democratic Forum Party has today expelled suspended party chairman Hassan Osman, Senator Boni Khalwale, and nominated Senator Martha Wangari from its membership.
In a special convention held at the party headquarters here in Nairobi, the party's national delegates ousted the three and adopted the proposal to change the name of the party from United Democratic Forum to Amani National Congress.
And as KTN's Sharon Mumanyi now reports, the move has been dismissed as inconsequential.
The people. We are the people. We have the power.
The mood was charged at the special convention that brought together national delegates of the UDF party, delegates who made and adopted some unconventional decisions.
1. Hassan Osman. 2. Martha Wangari. 3. Boni Khalwale. And 4. Nathan Kamidi.
The four were unanimously expelled by delegates for allegedly flouting the party constitution and for alleged indiscipline. Party leader Musalia Mudavadi and the ousted national chairman Hassan Osman have been at loggerheads over the control of the party. Hassan was purporting that the party constitution does not recognize the positions of party leader and deputy party leader, thereby refuting the leadership of Mudavadi and his deputy Jeremiah Kioni. A dispute presented before the Political Party Dispute Tribunal and which formed the agenda of the special convention today. In the same meeting, the delegates held party elections, replacing Osman with Webuye Member of Parliament Alfred Sambu as the party chairman and endorsing Mudavadi as the party leader and Kioni as his deputy.
We have demonstrated to the country that parties are not owned by individuals, but they belong to members.
Kile kimetendeka hapa is so important for the evolution of party politics in this country. Kuonyesha kwamba ikiwa afisa fulani wa chama anajaribu kufanya mambo ambayo sio sawa, the party can still go on.
The full name is Amani National Congress.
The delegates ratified the proposal to have the party rebranded and having its name changed from United Democratic Forum to Amani National Congress. But speaking in Nakuru, the party's Secretary General termed the convention and expulsion of the four members as unconstitutional.
Tumepata simu kutoka branches zetu nyingi, kuanzia Meru, Vihiga, Kakamega, Bungoma, Eldoret na kila pahali, wakisema ya kwamba ni nini hii tunasikia, kwa sababu watu waliokusanyika Nairobi ni watu ya kuokotwa kangemi.
And through his Twitter handle, Kakamega Senator Boni Khalwale responded to his expulsion from the party, saying that he is keenly observing what is unfolding in UDF, but chose to remain steadfast in his quest for a better Kenya.
We have seen them use some other machinations of trying to say they have used the constitution to actually call for a special NDC. And any organ or any party which is a formal organization has its rules, has its way of operation.
Under the current constitution, an elected member of parliament automatically loses his seat should he be expelled by the party that sponsored him to parliament. After a period of wrangles within the UDF party, national delegates have taken radical measures to restore stability within the party. From rebranding the party to expelling members of the party, how far this goes to restore stability in the party remains to be seen. Sharon Mumanyi for KTN in Nairobi.
Tomorrow morning on the Morning Express, Sophia Nuna will be talking to nominated Senator Martha Wangari on these latest developments at UDF. Now, the National Transport and Safety Authority says the motorbike industry is now a threat to national security. Recent crime patterns have seen criminals use motorbikes to carry out some of the most gruesome robberies and even murders. Border operators across the country say that they too have fallen victim to this new trend. Here's our final episode of Buy, Board, Bike with Ian Mafula.
Motorbike is a little bit faster than anything, so it can commit crime so fast. So most of them it is us.
Mtu anakuchukua kama mtu mzuri, anakuambia ni baby, unadhania ni mtu mungwana, kumbe anaenda kupeleka vichochoro, ametega huko watu wengine wanakupiga.
Unapata mtu amechukua loan kutoka kwa banki yote ile ambayo loan amechukua piga hata maybe muda kimoja, anateka nyara na majambazi, wanampiga panga, anawawa, pikipiki inaenda. Na hizi pikipiki zote wazi zinaibiwa, saa BM 150 zimeibiwa zaidi ya piki ya 40.
In one way or another, majority of motorbike operators have had their fair share of encounters with crime. Given the nature of the job, Sarah says she had to work extra hours into the night to support her 9 children. But this was to later change after she was almost raped and murdered.
Walinipata kama nasinzia. Wakafanya wei twende. Mimi nikamka mara moja nikapiga riat. Nikafurahi nimepata watatu. Hata sikutaka kujua wanaenda wapi. Hey, wazee mnaenda wapi? Wakaniambia tuenda hapa chini. Kumbe walikuwa Waganda.
Instantly, she says her instincts told her that the men on board her bike had ill motives. But she gave them the benefit of doubt. After all, she needs every extra coin she can get. All this time, the 3 men were deliberating on what to do to her, speaking in Luganda, which luckily she understood.
Nikawambia, nawaombeanga kila mtu kwa hii dunia, viwete, uendazimu, hata maumbwa. Jambo lingine, nikawambia naombeanga hata majambazi.
She says her constant testimonies, Bible quotes and preachings saved her that day. They ordered her to turn back and head back into Kenya. At this time, she had seen the sophisticated weapons the 3 men had carried, from guns to grenades.
Na kila mmoja akashuka tu, alirukanga tu akaniambia, wewe naona sisi sura, lakini wewe jui sisi. Na pana sema sisi siku nyingine umeona sisi, ati nisiwatambie siku nyingine hao ni majambazi. Nikasema mubarikiwe na mtembee salama na Mungu amani akazidi kuwashughulikia. Vile nilishuka tu hivyo nilitoka mbio. Nikakuja mpaka kwa nyumba. Nikaambia Mungu asante.
On the 20th of January 2014, former police reservist Ahmed Abdallah Bakshwain was shot dead on the streets of Mombasa. Take a look closely at this video. Bakshwain in his Nissan X-Trail stops over. Behind him, 3 men on a motorbike who seem to have been trailing him for some time pull over ahead of him. One of them pulls out a gun and shoots him. Only a few pedestrians realize what just happened, a bit too late though, as the assassins simply sped off. On the 9th of October 2014, KTN aired a robbery scene caught on camera at this bank in Nairobi's South Sea. The thieves, armed, made their way inside just in time as the bank was being opened. While shooting and emptying of money from the tills was happening inside, one of them was seen outside signaling his accomplices. And within minutes, 3 motorbikes made their way by the bank and all the thieves made away scot-free. None of the suspects behind both crimes have been arrested. Chairperson of the Kenya Motorbike Owners and Riders Association is quick to defend border operators on grounds that most of those who commit the crimes hire the motorbikes.
If you give me your motorcycle, you don't know me. Just because I carried you the other day and I was on another rented motorcycle, I'd rented. You come and tell me, okay, use this money, bring me the money. But we don't have that agreement as such. When I do mistakes and mess up, you'll have nobody to follow.
So we are saying we want to give a restriction on the time these people operate. So it's not just a road safety issue. It is actually a threat to national security.
Currently, 600,000 motorbikes are registered with the National Transport and Safety Authority, a number that increases by the minute with 15,000 new entrants every month. In an industry with such potential growth, hundreds of riders have no licenses and don't undergo any proper training. Protective gear such as helmets and reflectors have been ignored. City and town plans have not accommodated the riders, and so for now, it is free for all. You simply need to buy it, board it, and bike it. Ian Wafula, KTN.
Tonight on your weekly crime series Case Files is a story of a bank heist 6 years ago. A senior police officer tasked with the investigation of the theft of 34 million shillings while on transit at the Aya Center speaks for the first time on how his fellow officers planned and executed a robbery of money they meant to safeguard. Here is a sneak preview of Case Files coming up immediately after this bulletin with Dennis Onserigo.
Wakati ninarudi ofisi ilikuwa jioni kitu kama saa 12 nikapigiwa simu na DCIO. Bravo kilo kwanza tafanya.
Wacha angaliwe.
There were 3 teams. There's the Katola team, there is the minor team, and there is your team now.
Watch out for Case Files coming right after this bulletin. Let's remind you of a big question tonight when they're asking you what should be done to restore sanity in Kenyan football.
The reactions have been coming in thick and fast, and Simon Koech on Twitter says this act of hooliganism is ailing football, which is already on its knees. Kenyan football is not about Gor or AFC Leopards.
Ibrahim Mohammed says stop the fans consuming huge amounts of alcohol and bang.
Keep them coming. We shall be taking a look at them during and of course at the end of this live newscast. For now though, we take a quick break, but don't go too far. We'll be back shortly. Just ahead on the Job Center tonight, the Dream Job Online.
Welcome to this edition of KTN Job Center. Now, while some online job prospects are scams, there are legitimate, well-paid opportunities that are available, and all some of these jobs require is a computer with high-speed internet connection, a telephone, and your skills. So just which are the best online jobs to pursue, and just how much will you earn, and how can you land some of these positions? In studio, we have Robert Kimani, who is the Managing Director of Brighter Monday East Africa, and is here to give us some of those insights. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Joy.
Job Center. Of course, you being one of, being head of one of the biggest online, job companies, what would you say, how would you evaluate the job market today for online jobs?
The market in Kenya is a bit job seeker long. That basically means that for the longest time, we have more job seekers than we have jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And 7 years ago, Brighter Monday realized that it had a part to play, which was developing a platform where employers and job seekers could meet. And job seekers then had the opportunity to showcase their talent, and that's basically the reason I am here today. That said, however, job seekers and humans in general need gainful employment to meet their basic needs.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, because they need these jobs, I believe that the online job space is going to be lucrative for a long period.
Right. And what are the basic qualifications that are required by, especially the young Kenyans who are all out there looking for these jobs? What are the basic qualifications today in the market?
I cannot speak as a professional recruiter. However, what I can say is that where qualifications are concerned, the one key fundamental that we have to borrow from or look at is a job description. That is what every recruiter, every employer basically puts forward, and it enumerates or itemizes the things that they would be looking for in a candidate, which means that for any job seeker out there looking at any of the opportunities, they have to consider this job description and follow it to note, so to speak, so that they then can showcase their talent.
Okay, and it's an industry that is growing by the day and it's lucrative, but what sectors or what categories in the online jobs market have the most demand?
That's always an interesting question, and I think our promise has been since 2006 to deliver the best opportunities to Kenyans by showcasing these opportunities, because we do engage some of the best employers in the region. That said, we obviously advertise opportunities across various categories, and what we have noticed is that there are categories like IT, there are categories like sales and marketing, there are categories like customer service that tend to be a bit more lucrative or out there. That said, we do advertise jobs at the senior management level and also at the executive suite.
Great. And what are today's employers looking for? I know they are looking for passionate employees,
yes,
and so many other key issues, but what exactly, from your point of view, are you looking for in today's Kenyan market?
Well, employers are looking for passion, and I don't want to speak for employers en masse. I'll speak for ourselves as an employer. Employers are looking for passionate potential employees. We are looking for people that love what they do. But then beyond that, we also are looking at job seekers that not just have a passion or love what they do specifically, but that are also willing to learn. I think for me that is one of the most important things. The willingness to learn and the proper attitude. I think that is what every employer is looking for.
All right. And going forward, where should Kenya's youth focus their energies to suit this market? Should they go to school, get degrees? Should they have to have master's degrees? Where exactly should they focus their energies?
As I was speaking about some of the areas that we have noticed have got more lucrative opportunities, the one thing I probably didn't mention, and you didn't hear me mention, was anything with science backgrounds or qualifications. And the one thing we have noted is that we have opportunities in the engineering field, we have opportunities in medicine that we just cannot feel as we speak. And what I would probably tell young Kenyans out there and other job seekers is, if you have a passion in sciences, for example, put your best foot forward. I think that is going to be lucrative in the long term. But that said, some of the global trends that we are noticing right now is that there's a lot of outsourcing that's been happening. And we now have organizations that specifically employ staff who they then outsource to other organizations, just so that it's an easier way of basically going about your business.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I think if we talked about online jobs, we'd probably go on and on and on and on.
Yes,
but thank
we
you
would.
so much for making time for this edition of Job Center.
Thank you very much.
We do appreciate and enlightening our viewers about online jobs market. Well, that is Robert Kimani, the Managing Director for Brighter Monday East Africa, giving us insights on the online job market. Well, we'll take a short break. Business is coming up next. Do stay with us.
Watching KTN Prime.
Welcome to this edition of KTN Business. Kenya is among 8 countries set to benefit from 712 billion shillings pledged by development lenders across the globe. The World Bank, African Development Bank, and European Union have committed $8 billion to the Horn of Africa region to boost economic growth and fight poverty. The region, which includes Kenya, Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Djibouti, Uganda, Sudan, and South Sudan, houses some of the world's fastest growing economies with vast untapped natural resources, but has also been hit by extreme poverty and conflict. The funds will help support infrastructure development, including regional oil and gas pipelines, programs to improve health and access to energy, and the expansion of university education and job training in the coming years. And the Kenyan financial services sector has been a battlefield, pitting a suspicious borrower on one side and an even more suspicious lender on the other. In between is an information gap that has worked to the detriment of both parties by perpetuating the vicious cycle. But now the Association of Kenya Credit Providers has unveiled a plan to increase credit information sharing and consumption that will increase access to affordable credit and increase credit uptake in the country. Adelaide Changole with the details.
The government has been on a mission to reduce lending rates and increase uptake of credit to spur greater economic development in the country. However, this mission has been facing serious headwinds.
For the entire 22 or so million adults, approximately 6 million who are currently accessing some credit facility.
The problem has been an absence of information that can be used by lenders and borrowers alike to make decisions. As a result, lenders assume borrowers are high risk, loading credit with high premiums, while borrowers assume that lenders are out to fleece them and shy away from the formal financial sector.
The 40% credit that is provided, the borrowers are very few. It's about 6 million, isn't it? So essentially, we are overloading those people so they cannot prosper.
But now the government is partnering up with the private sector to roll out an initiative that will deal with this dilemma. The Association of Kenya Credit Providers seeks to provide a platform for lenders from different sectors to exchange information on a borrower's credit history, cleaning out old records.
And so the whole essence of our association is to make interaction between lenders and borrowers much easier.
By getting information from such varied sources, the credit reference bureaus can draw up a more accurate credit score for each individual borrower and thereby differentiate bad borrowers from good ones.
It is a mechanism that will judge everyone and make sure that we bring down or we assess your risk profile objectively.
The credit history will give both the market and the regulator an insight into how banks price loans. Banks are expected to use the annual percentage rate formula, which is based on the Kenya Bank's referencing rate. Currently, the association has 55 lenders in their membership, among them the country's 43 banks, 9 microfinance banks, the Higher Education Loans Board, Agricultural Finance Corporation, and IDB Capital. But it wants to increase this to 748 lenders by the end of 2019. Adelaide Changole, KTN Business.
And the inaugural Kenya International Investment Conference is set to be held next month as the country seeks to tap the international market for investors. The government will be using the 2-day event to market Kenya to international investors, with a focus on manufacturing, financial services and agriculture topping the agenda. KTN's Charles Gitonga reports.
Kenya expects to host about 1,000 investors drawn from local, regional and international markets at the upcoming investment conference. Top of the agenda will be to assure the businessmen that the government is putting in place the necessary measures to support investment through policy and incentives that create a conducive business environment.
It is a priority of the Jubilee government to ensure that we provide a conducive environment to attract investments.
The standard gauge railway, Konza City, Lapset, 10,000 kilometers of road and the 5,000 megawatts of power projects are some of the initiatives that the government will be showcasing and at the same time inviting the investors to participate in. Through this, the conference will open the door for higher levels of foreign direct investments, growing the exports markets and reversing the negative balance of trade between Kenya and other developed economies.
I have no doubt that the GDP and the balance of trade will improve in the years to come because of the efforts that have been made by the government.
Kenya shall use the conference to cement its commitment to improving the business environment, together with creating incentives like tax and investment allowances. The two-day conference will also bring together the 47 counties who shall be seeking to position themselves to secure crucial partnerships with investors as a way to enable them achieve their development agenda. Charles Gitonga, KTN.
So the big conversation tonight online and everywhere is about football. What happened yesterday in Machakos? And the big question we are asking you, what should be done to restore sanity to our football fields?
Lots of feedback, and we're going to read some of them just quickly to make way for case files with Dennis Onsurigo right after this bulletin. Atunju Eneli says, I like the idea of paying damages upfront in case of anything. It should apply to all Kenyan matches.
Job Mbudia says the solution is deduction of points and huge cash fines and severe cases of relegation. Empty stadia too.
Adikini Mimi says, Gore and the FC have the largest following and banning them means less get collection funds.
Mbura, the questioner says, Gore and FC have the largest following and banning them means less get collection funds.
I just read that.
Another one here from Mayunga Pala says, I'm patient with stupidity but not with people who are proud of it, as they say stupidity has a knack of getting its way. Gore hooligans.
Well, those are your opinions on that story of hooliganism in football. Thank you for writing in, for being part of this bulletin, and for watching KTN Prime. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Linda Ogutu.
Many thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Ben Kitili. Have a wonderful night. Remember, Case Files begins shortly.